on the News Channel 5 network. This is Sportsline.
Hey there, Sportsline on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5. Plus, the day after the Patriots win the Super Bowl yet again. 13-3 last night in Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. The Patriots downing the Los Angeles Rams for a record-tying 6th Super Bowl title, equaling the Pittsburgh Steelers for the most all-time in the history of the National Football League. It was an interesting game in the sense that it was not particularly well played, at least offensively. Tom Brady wasn't particularly sharp at the beginning. Jared Goff never found his footing all night long. The Rams' offense seemed impotent after a season in which it was one of the most potent that we've ever seen in the National Football League. It was a defensive slugfest. It was a return to the 70s. It was a return to the first decade of the Super Bowl in an era where we're all about offense. And for a lot of people, that was boring. The Super Bowl in recent years has set such a high standard because we've had so many good games. Eagles and Patriots last year. The year before that, the overtime game between the Patriots and Falcons. Panthers-Broncos went down to the wire. Patriots-Seahawks went down to the wire. You've had so many good games in this era of the Super Bowl where it was back and forth and high drama late. Well, last night you had drama. It was a 3-3 game into the fourth quarter. Patriots had to come up with a drive, and they did. Back-to-back scoring drives, and they had to get a stop because the Rams were on the move as well in the fourth quarter. But in terms of the fireworks and the high drama and the back and forth nature, we didn't get that. That's what we saw in the NFC Championship, and certainly what we saw in the AFC Championship game. That isn't what we got last night in Atlanta. What we got was a throwback game, defensive slugfest, where the defenses confused the quarterbacks and the offenses never really got going. But here's the thing to me that sets the Patriots apart. They're prepared for anything. And on that stage in the Super Bowl, that's what you have to be ready for. You have to understand that the game could be 45-40, and it can be 3-3 in the fourth quarter. It can be either of those things. And you have to be prepared to figure out a way to win either of those types of ball games. And last night it looked like the Patriots were the team that was comfortable playing low scoring. The Rams, I think, looked like a squad that felt like the rest of America, that this needs to be more high scoring. We need to see offense in this game. Where is it? Oh my gosh, our offense isn't going. Uh-oh. That's kind of what it felt like watching the Rams. The Patriots, on the other hand, it looked like they just were there and said, all right, it's low scoring. Defense, go win us the game. Offense, go make a play. And so what happens? Bill Belichick and Brian Flores and that defense, they scheme up Jared Goff. They confuse the heck out of him all night long. The defense does the job, doesn't allow a touchdown. One of the few times that that's happened in Super Bowl history. And then in the fourth quarter of a 3-3 game, Tom Brady and the Patriots offense answered the call. They got the ball back with 9 minutes and 45 seconds to go. 18 yards to Gronk on the first play. Pass to Edelman on the second play for another first down. 7 yards to Burkhead on the third play. And then the huge 29-yard pass play to Gronk down to the 2-yard line. That's the drive. Sony Michel punches in from there. 5 plays, 69 yards. And that's your only touchdown of the night. And then, by the way, when they got the ball back, after the Stephon Gilmore interception of Goff down inside the 5-yard line, there was enough time there that if the Rams could have gotten a stop, they could have potentially got the ball back in great position. Remember back to the NFC Championship game when the Saints started with the ball in overtime and the Rams were able to get a stop, get an interception, in fact, and then they go back and score. Even the end of regulation, when they got the ball back, they were able to drive the field. There was time for Goff and the Rams. but the Patriots didn't give up the football. They drove out from the shadow of their own goalpost, got a big run from Sony Michel again, got to about midfield, and then Burkhead chews off 26 more yards to set up a Stephen Gostkowski field goal that made it 13-3, and that was really all she wrote at that point. When the game got to the fourth quarter, whatever had happened up to that point, it was a tie game, and it was time to go win. And it looked to me last night that the Rams didn't believe that they could win that game in the fourth quarter. And the Patriots looked like a team that thought, here is our time. We have been here before. We fell short last year. This is our moment, and we're going to knock down that door. And they did. For the third time in 5 years, and now 6 times overall. 6 with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady as their quarterback coach combination. Nothing like that in the history of the National Football League. They get it done last night. It will go down as the lowest scoring Super Bowl game ever, and the Patriots aren't going to care at all because they got the Lombardi Trophy once again. And as Tom Brady even said last week as we were going through all the various media interviews and media sessions of the week, he said, look, I don't care how the game ends, just as long as we have more points than the other team. And that's the point. Ratings were down because it wasn't the most exciting game ever. Fans knocked it on Twitter and Facebook and all those sort of things. But if you're playing in the game, all you care about is that you find a way. And the Patriots, I think, proved their greatness last night because they found a way. And they did it for a 6th time. Our phone lines are open tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Would love to get your thoughts on the game last night. Your key to the game, your impression of what happened in the ball game, your impression of the game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is a phenomenal venue, by the way. Props to the city of Atlanta. They built a beauty. And I think as a city, did a really good job with hosting the Super Bowl. Now, there are a couple complaints that I may get to throughout the course of the show. But for the most part, all in all, I think Atlanta did a really good job getting the Super Bowl back for the first time since 2000 and deserves to have it back sooner rather than later. So great job by the city of Atlanta. Beautiful, beautiful stadium. And the game goes to the fourth quarter. Not totally pretty, but certainly history for Brady and Belichick and the Patriots at the end of the day. We'll get to some of the sound from postgame, both the winners and the losers coming up on the show tonight. But want to hear from you guys tonight on your impressions of the game and what you watched last night. 737-7767 is the number. We begin tonight with Wade. Wade, thanks for the call.
All right.
Wade, go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, that's good. Well, I used to work with Gladys Knight, so for me, obviously, the highlight was the national anthem. So,
yeah,
worked for her record label, but that was a marketing ploy, I think, put together by Roger Goodell. That okay, the number 2 market, L.A., needs to be a football town, and we'll give them 2 football teams. And maybe that will, and it's about advertising dollars. Let's be honest about that. Then we run the fan base of New England, even though the rest of America hates them, it's a pretty big fan base. So how can this fail? Well, I don't know, but boy, did it.
Yeah, the numbers show it today. It's down massive in terms of ratings compared to the last several Super Bowls. Another dip for the world's biggest game. I think it was Super Bowl 49 had the highest rating all time at 114 million viewers, and it's pretty much dipped for the last 4 or 5 years since that point. So last night they definitely didn't capture the audience for whatever the reason may be.
I think the public is smelling a little bit of fix here, to be honest with you. I really do. I certainly am. It's, you know, they had a lawsuit about this several years ago, and it was a Giants fan, and it was against the Patriots, actually, and he sued because he didn't like the outcome, and he took it to court, and then they went to a higher court, and the judge said, "Sir, we're going to show you the back of your ticket," and it says, "For exhibition purposes only, not guaranteed an actual contest." So in a way, it's almost like wrestling. And the NFL has no sanctioning bodies. They have nobody to control them except we, the people, and 32 billionaires. And so they're free to do what they want to, and that's what we got.
Wade, what do you think? I mean, that's interesting stuff you all throw out there, but what do you think they fixed?
Well, obviously, they're going on game-changing hits, and it's getting ridiculous, but they have to change that. I would say Roger Goodell would be a good place, and after the ratings and the money that they lost yesterday, because all 32 teams share a percentage of the proceeds from TV rights. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right, but they've already been paid for that. So the only people who potentially lost money yesterday were the broadcasters.
Well, and I noticed the commercials, you know, and people, my wife would let me turn it off. No, we got to stay. And people did not put the money, the production money, and they were a dud too. Overall, couple stood out, but the whole thing was, it's really shameful, and it hurts me. I mean, the Titans, when they came to town, my goodness, I lived here all my life. As a boy, I dreamed NFL, it'll never happen. No, it did. But now, it's something really stinks.
Interesting stuff. I appreciate the call, Wade. It's fascinating to me, and in a way too bad, I think, that the game was not exciting to people last night, because I really think the NFL got this season right. There are a lot of people who have complained about the NFL over the last couple of years because it hasn't been able to get out of its way because of player discipline issues, and then obviously the anthem controversy and players kneeling and Colin Kaepernick and people thinking he was blackballed from the league, and then the president gets involved and just everything that went with that. It became political, and it was easy to pick fights about where the NFL's priorities lied over the last few years, and it wasn't about football. You ignored sort of the contest on the field because there was too much junk around the outskirts. The NFL stopped that this year. They got out of the player conduct business. They got out of the political game. Everybody stood. Everybody was respectful of the anthem. It was about football this year. And this season, the NFL games have been phenomenal. Patriots, Chiefs, Patriots, Packers, Chiefs, Rams, Saints, Rams, Saints, Cowboys. I mean, just game after game after game throughout the regular season that were epic type of games with high-level offense, great quarterback play, really interesting games, back and forth, down to the wire. That is what makes the NFL great. And in the playoffs, we saw a bunch of that. Championship Sunday, 2 really good games. Unfortunately, you're going to think about the controversy at the end of the NFC Championship forever, but that was a high-level game between 2 really good teams. The unfortunate thing for the NFL is the cap for that season was the lowest scoring game in Super Bowl history in a matchup of 2 top 5 offenses. We all thought we were getting 31-28 yesterday. And so when it was 3-3 in the fourth quarter, it just felt off. And to me, that's unfortunate for the NFL, because if you're the casual fan that maybe sort of said goodbye to the league a couple of years ago because of all that other stuff, and you didn't catch some of those earlier games that I just mentioned, and all of a sudden you tuned in yesterday because it's the Super Bowl and maybe you had a party you got invited to, and it's just what you do on Super Bowl Sunday in America, you didn't see what made this league so great this year, because that's not what we got yesterday. It was still a good football game. The defenses were phenomenal, and it went down to the wire in the fourth quarter. That's interesting, but it wasn't what people expected, and it wasn't what has made the game fascinating to people and exciting to people over the last 5, 10, 15 years maybe, and certainly not what made this NFL season one of the best individual seasons in any sport in quite some time. So in that regard, Super Bowl Sunday was kind of a dud. Want to get your thoughts on that. 737-7767 is the number. We go to line 2. Say hello to Marty. Marty, thanks for the call.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, well, me and my wife was wondering, what would the ring cost?
What would what?
The rings, the Super Bowl rings.
The Super Bowl rings.
We just wonder what something like that would cost.
It's a great question. I think they've all varied. It depends how elaborate these teams want to get, but I think typically they're a few $1,000s per ring. All right, Marty, we appreciate the call. Let's move on here and say hello to Cheryl. Cheryl, thanks for the call. You're next up here on Sportsline.
Yes, thank you for the call. I'm just a casual fan. I live in Tennessee, but I grew up north of Boston. And I think you're right about the defense. Of course, if you have two really, really powerful defenses, it's going to be a real tight game. And I believe they both did their best. They should have a little conference for the public and get their feedback, the players, give their feedback on what they think happened. And another thing that doesn't have to do with football that it's really been on my mind for a few years is basketball. I used to love watching basketball, and my two sons were great players. But just like in wrestling, where they have the heavy, the medium, and the lightweight wrestling,
yep.
I think they should have the heavy, the three different, because there's some people on there that are so tall, it's not even fun watching them put the ball in the hoop. They should have light, heavy, and medium basketball. And then, that'll make it a lot more interesting. And women need to do football now. It's about time, and they can get a little of that wonderful glory that all the men get.
Huh.
Thank you.
Interesting stuff. Cheryl, thanks for the call. Assume if you're up in the New England area, you may be a Patriots fan. If so, congratulations on the win yesterday. I'll tell you this. This was my observation from Atlanta. I do think Atlanta as a city did a really good job. Stadium was phenomenal. Couple thoughts that were negatives to me from the week. And I'll get to that when we come back on the other side. Plus more of your phone calls. 737-7767, the number. This is Sportsline on News Channel 5+.